For money, I and Omega pretended to be a beta to be with Leo Vance. He despised Omegas more than anything, yet I accidentally got pregnant. I ran away before it started to show. Later, I was huddled alone in a small rented apartment, my belly swollen. In the middle of the night, I suddenly smelled Leo Vance's pheromones. I thought it was a dream. Tears streaming, I opened my eyes, only to meet his dark, gloomy gaze. "Whose bastard are you carrying, baby? Be good, tell me." "We'll get rid of the father and keep the child." Chapter 1. I am an inferior Omega. My glands are underdeveloped and I have almost no pheromones. Most people thought I was a beta, including Leo Vance. Normally, an inferior Omega like me would never come into contact with a top-tier alpha. But during his rut, I was serving drinks at a private club and lost my footing, spilling a drink all over him. The private room fell silent for a moment. Everyone around me looked at me with pity. Another one who doesn't know what's good for them, daring to provoke Leo Vance during his rut. I remember the last person who tried to seduce him this way. He beat them half to death. I trembled. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." Leo lifted his eyes and reached a hand toward me. I thought he was going to hit me and instinctively raised my arm to shield myself. "Please don't hit my face. If my face was ruined, I'd lose my job. I needed this job so badly. I needed the money." The fist never fell. I was pulled into a searingly hot embrace, Leo's voice hoarse. "You're a beta and you're desperate for money." I nodded. My father who died early, my sick mother, my sister who was still in school, and my broken self. That handsome face drew closer, the heat radiating from his body scorching. "Want to be with me?" Chapter 2. In the hotel room, I clutched the bath towel tightly. "This is my first time." "Could you be gentle?" He cut me off with a sneer, his voice low and raspy. "You don't have to pretend with me. We'll use protection. As long as you're clean, I don't mind." I opened my mouth, then closed it again. I was clean. But working as a server in a place like that, he probably wouldn't believe any explanation. He kept me for days and nights. At first, he retained some sanity. But later, a top-tier alpha in rut was like a wild beast. There wasn't a single unmarked spot on my neck. I bit down on a corner of the pillow, my tears soaking the bedsheets. But when Leo woke up, it was as if he didn't remember me, a sort of temporary amnesia from the rut. I propped up my broken body, wanting to ask for my payment. Instead, Leo's hand clamped around my neck. He slammed me against the headboard, his expression filled with disgust. "What trick did you pull on me?" His grip was too strong. I couldn't breathe properly, and my voice came out raspy. "It was you who asked if I wanted to be with you." He put on a superior air. "You think I'd be interested in you? A common beta, no pheromones, a so-so body, and your looks are." Staring at my face, Leo sized me up for a long moment, the tips of his ears turning red. "Just so-so." With that, he let me go. I hung my head. As an inferior Omega, I was used to hearing things like that, but it still hurt. His cold voice sounded again. "Did we use protection?" I shook my head, nervously clutching a corner of the blanket. "You didn't let me." In the haze of passion over those few days, I had tried to reach for something, but Leo had pinned my hands down. In a panic, I confessed to him, "Mr. Vance, I'm actually an Omega. I'm afraid of getting pregnant." Leo's voice was low and husky as he pressed my wrists above my head, his tone deep and gentle. "If you get pregnant, we'll have the baby. I'll raise it." I closed my eyes and gave up resisting. But now I saw the wariness in his eyes. I laughed at myself. Of course, he had forgotten everything. You can't believe a word a man says in bed. Finally, Leo gave me a check. "Don't think you can climb the ladder this way. I've seen plenty of people like you." After he left, I knelt on the floor and picked up the check he had tossed away. I had gotten a lot of money, but why did I still feel like crying? Chapter 3. Only later did I learn that Leo Vance despised Omegas. I was secretly relieved. Thank God I hadn't told him my true identity. With the money he gave me, I paid for my mother's surgery and my sister's tuition. I never expected to run into Leo again a month later. From the moment I walked into the private room, his gaze was fixed on me, his expression unreadable. My legs instinctively went weak. I lost my balance and accidentally spilled wine on his friend's chest. "I'm so sorry, sir." I quickly grabbed a napkin to wipe it, but my wrist was seized by Leo. He had appeared beside me at some point, his tone scornful. Trying the same seduction trick again. His grip was strong and it hurt. Before I could finish, I was pulled into his arms. He pinched my chin, his voice tight. "Instead of seducing others, you might as well come back to me." He took me back to his villa and threw a contract at me. $20,000 a month, a very high price. I couldn't even make that much in a year. Before signing, I struggled. My principles, my integrity, my beliefs, but my mother needed money for the hospital and my sister needed money for school. I was already in an abyss. They were my stars. I just wanted them to have a good life. It didn't matter what happened to me. In the end, I sold myself. When my mom received the money, she asked me with red-rimmed eyes, "Where did you get so much money?" I'm a terrible liar, so I could only hang my head in silence. She tugged at my collar, only to see the love bites on my skin. Leo had left them there yesterday. My mom's eyes instantly turned red, and her hand trembled as if she wanted to pull out her IV tube. "Son, I don't want to be treated anymore," I shuddered, my eyes stinging. Just then, my sister's cheerful voice filled the room. "Brother, I paid my tuition to the teacher." My mother's movement stopped. She quickly turned her back to us. I hurriedly pulled my collar up. "That's good." My sister's small body snuggled into my arms. Nearby, my mother covered her face, trying to stifle her sobs. Chapter 4. Finally, I took their hands and forced a smile. "You both have to be well, because only if you live well can I keep on living." When I walked out of the hospital room, I saw Leo leaning against the wall, waiting for me. He gently rubbed my tear-stained eyes with his thumb. "Your crying is heartbreaking." I lowered my head and said nothing. If he hadn't insisted on leaving marks on me yesterday, I wouldn't have been found out. But last night, Leo had been like a wild dog. He had to leave his mark all over my body before he was finally satisfied. The next day, my mother was moved to a private VIP room. My sister was transferred to the best high school. The price was that I couldn't get out of bed for another day. He held my sweat-drenched body. "Are all betas this soft?" "Julian, I could die on top of you." I had no strength to respond. As an inferior Omega, I was softer than a typical beta, and I wasn't as prone to pregnancy as other Omegas, but I was still terrified of getting pregnant. Ever since that first time, Leo never used protection. I could only take contraceptive pills in secret every time. Long-term use of the drug was harmful to an Omega's body, but I wasn't thinking about the future. Once my mother recovered and my sister was in college, I would be free. Just hold on a little longer, Julian. Chapter 5. Leo was going on a business trip. This was good news for me. But before he left, he once again exhausted me until I couldn't get out of bed. After he was gone, I crawled up to take my pill. But perhaps I had taken too many, because a sharp, twisting pain suddenly shot through my stomach in the middle of the night. It felt like countless small knives were churning inside me. I clutched my stomach, curling up on the bed in tears. In a state between sleep and wakefulness, I felt someone gently wipe the tears from the corner of my eye. I opened my eyes. The figure before me was hazy. Thinking it was a dream, I reached out and brushed against it. "Is that you, Dad?" But since my father died, he had never once appeared in my dreams. He was probably still mad at me. The voice in the dream was deep and pleasant, calling me Dad now. "I was only gone one night. How did you get yourself into such a state?" A large hand rested on my stomach, rubbing it gently. "Good thing I couldn't stop worrying and rushed back to check on you. I'll take you for a checkup tomorrow." Hearing the word check up, I woke up completely. I grabbed Leo's wrist, my face pale as I shook my head. "I can't. If I get a checkup, they'll find out I'm an Omega." Under his questioning gaze, I lied. "I'm afraid of doctors." "Fine, whatever you say." I closed my eyes in relief. But the next day, he still called a private doctor to the house. He said it was his friend who studied medicine. Leo held me down firmly, forcing me to undergo a full examination. "Don't be scared, I'll tell Elias to be gentle." During the examination, Dr. Cole's cool face showed a hint of confusion. "You're a beta," he glanced at Leo, seeming to hesitate. My face turned white. Am I about to be exposed? Chapter 6. Before Dr. Cole could speak, I tightly gripped his sleeve. "Dr. Cole, I really am a beta." My stomach just suddenly hurt. I probably ate something bad. My voice trembled, my heart pounding in my throat. I looked at him with a pleading gaze. I just hoped he wouldn't expose me. He stared at me for a long time before finally choosing to send Leo out of the room. Dr. Cole frowned, his tone serious. "What's your motive for pretending to be a beta to get close to Leo? You're even taking so many contraceptive pills. Do you have any idea how much damage that drug does to an Omega's body?" I clutched his sleeve, begging. "I just want money. Can you please not tell Leo? I know he hates Omegas. If he finds out, he'll definitely get rid of me. Dr. Cole, I'm begging you." He stared at me for a good while. "Fine." I was so happy I started to cry. "Thank you." Dr. Cole watched my smile for a long time before looking away. When Leo returned, he rubbed my red-rimmed eyes with his thumb, his expression displeased. "Elias, what kind of checkup requires sending me away, and why did you make him cry?" Dr. Cole scoffed, his tone mocking. Isn't it your fault for messing with your bed partner until he needed a doctor? Bro, I know you're a beast, but could you show some restraint? Leo's face flushed red and white. His stomach hurts because of that, Dr. Cole pressed on. Yes, and have you ever worn protection? He's a beta, he can't get pregnant. It's not necessary, Dr. Cole cut him off. Then have you ever cleaned him out afterwards? It's not good for that stuff to stay inside the body. I hung my head silent. Of course, Leo would never help me clean up. He would just finish, then leave me like a limp rag on the bed. Every time I had to drag my aching body to the bathroom to get all of it out. Then I'd return to serve as his human pillow. Finally, Dr. Cole patted Leo's shoulder. Leo, be better to him. Leo just clicked his tongue. So delicate. Chapter 7. I had no hope that Leo would actually listen. I was still prepared to take my pills. But when his next rut arrived, Leo took out a wrapper and tore it open. I froze. He was actually willing to use one. Not only did he use it, but his movements became gentle. So gentle it was almost torturous. He nuzzled my neck, whispering, "Julian, does this hurt?" I buried my face in the pillow and shook my head. You don't have to ask," but Leo wouldn't listen, his tantalizing voice sounding from behind me again. "What about this? Be good, say something." It was as if he'd accidentally discovered some new form of entertainment. I bit my lip hard, overwhelmed with shame. Leo's long fingers toyed with my flushed earlobe, his voice low and pleased. "It's hotter than usual here." I stared at the ceiling, feeling dazed. Leo looked into my unfocused eyes and kissed me. My baby is so cute. The fireworks in my head hadn't even finished. When I came to my senses, I belatedly realized, what did Leo call me? Did I mishear? That term of endearment was too intimate. Given our relationship, it shouldn't have come from his lips. Before I could figure it out, Leo suddenly lifted me into his arms. I struggled instinctively. He restrained my flailing legs. "Baby, let's shower together." This time I heard it clearly. Those two words were too gentle. So much so that it felt like something had clenched my heart. Chapter 8. Leo's restraint only lasted for the beginning of his rut. Later on, he returned to being a beast, plundering and demanding pheromones. But as an inferior Omega, I couldn't release what he wanted. He sniffed hard at my neck, then bit down fiercely. A jolt went through me, and a tiny amount was drawn out. Leo seemed satisfied. "Baby smells so good." "I love it." My heart skipped a beat. I tried to sniff the air, but I still couldn't smell anything. A wave of disappointment washed over me. The further into his rut, the clingier Leo became. We spent a week like a couple in love, until one morning I woke up. I snuggled into his arms, but he didn't give me a morning kiss. His dark eyes just stared at me intently. I realized Leo's rut was over. That brief, 7-day lover was gone again. He patted my backside, his tone commanding. "Get packed. You're coming with me on this business trip." My voice was hoarse as I quietly slipped out of his embrace. Okay. But a strange sense of loss filled my heart. All the intimacy from his rut, Leo didn't remember any of it. But I remembered it so clearly. Leo took me to a business dinner. The moment he arrived, he became the center of attention. Many people flocked to him, toasting him obsequiously. "President Vance, this is the first time you've brought someone." "This is," Leo wrapped an arm around my waist, his tone casual. "Someone I'm keeping." Nearby, a CEO stared at my face with a lecherous smile. So just a kept plaything. "Well, President Vance, when you're done playing, can I have a taste?" I clenched my fists. When I worked at the club, this kind of thing wasn't uncommon. The rich really did trade their toys. If Leo really gave me away, a dense, dull pain spread through my heart. I closed my eyes. Then I'd have no choice but to take him down with me. Chapter 9. But the next second, the man who had spoken was thrown to the ground. Leo smashed a wine glass, holding the sharp shard to the man's eye. "Look at him like that again, and believe me, I'll gouge your eyes out." The room fell silent. The man broke out in a cold sweat, begging for mercy, finally coming to his senses. "I'm sorry, President Vance. I was drunk and just joking." Leo let him go and wiped his hands. "You skimmed quite a bit off that last project behind my back, didn't you? I hate liars more than anything. I don't want to see you in this industry ever again." A single, casual sentence. All the color drained from the man on the floor. My face was pale, too. Even though Leo's words weren't directed at me, I had also lied to him. I was the kind of liar he hated most. Leo took my hand and played with my fingers. "Why are your hands so cold? Are you scared?" I didn't dare make a sound. His expression darkened as he lined in, his voice tight. "Julian, did you really think I would give you away?" I flinched. Leo was angry again. That night, he took me back to the hotel. I struggled to grab something, but he pulled off his tie and used it to bind me. No protection tonight, this is your punishment. I eventually passed out from exhaustion. In a daze, I felt him carry me to be cleaned up. In the bathtub, Leo bit down hard on my neck. Damn it, why can't a beta be marked? Julian, you can only be mine. Chapter 10. On my birthday, Leo took me to meet his friends. He wrapped an arm around my waist. I want you all to meet Julian. Everyone's eyes fell on me, sizing me up. I forced a smile. When we cut the birthday cake, Leo put a watch on my wrist. The soft light caught his profile. This is a matching set with mine. There are only 2 in the entire country. His friends saw it and started teasing him. So Leo went to all that trouble to get this rare watch just to win a beauty's heart. He traded his prized sports car for it, the one he bobbied for years. To just give it up like that, Leo really is generous. The words were casual, but they struck a chord with me. He could give away a car he had treasured for years. What about me? If one day Leo didn't like me anymore, would he just cast me aside? All these emotions I shouldn't have been feeling surged up, uncontrollable. My eyes started to sting. After fastening the watch, Leo smiled and looked into my eyes. Moved already, I suppressed the sour feeling in my heart. Yes, in the middle of the party, Leo had to step out. Be good and wait for me here. I sat where I was. His friends were all from wealthy families, and their conversations were about things I couldn't contribute to. Thankfully, no one paid me any mind. Suddenly, the topic shifted to me. Julian, what business is your family in? Before I could answer, a malicious voice cut in. What kind of business? A rent boy from a club, obviously. I've seen him there myself. Chapter 11. The rich boys burst into laughter. Just a beta who got lucky and latched onto Leo because of his pretty face. Does he really think that eating with us makes him one of us? I ignored them. I just kept my head down, eating in silence. But the next second, a piece of duck butt was tossed into my bowl. The nasty voice sounded again. You are what you eat. I stared at the thing in my bowl. Before I could feel anger, my stomach churned violently. I threw up, and a sharp pain shot through my abdomen. Fuck, why'd he puke? That's disgusting. Is he faking it to get attention? Hey, stop pretending. I clutched my stomach, the pain so intense that I passed out. When I woke up, I was in a hospital room. The smell of disinfectant was overwhelming. Dr. Cole stood there holding a report, his expression grim. Doctor. Cole, what's wrong with me? He stared at me and slowly uttered 3 words. You're pregnant. Chapter 12. My mind went completely blank. Pregnant, but we used protection every time. Could it have been that night he took me to the business dinner? My thoughts were a mess. Dr. Cole pushed up his glasses. Are you going to keep it? I looked down at my flat stomach. There was a new little life inside, belonging to me and Leo. For a moment, I wanted to keep it. But if I did, my belly would eventually start to show. When that happened, Leo would find out I was an Omega. What would he do to me? I was just an inferior Omega. For him, crushing me would be easier than crushing an ant. Julian, do you know why Leo hates Omegas so much? Dr. Cole's question broke through my thoughts. I shook my head. Leo's first love was a top-tier Omega who suddenly left him and went abroad. He was deeply hurt. That's when it started, his equal opportunity hatred for all Omegas. Now that person's name is a taboo topic. None of us can even mention it. Hearing this, a dull ache spread through my chest. It was incredibly sour, so that was why. Leo had once loved someone that much, and because of that person, he indiscriminately hated all Omegas, including me. Dr. Cole looked at me with pity in his eyes. And what's more, his first love is coming back to the country next week. This time it's probably for Leo. My heart sank. Then what should I and the baby in my belly do? Dr. Cole patted my shoulder, his tone earnest. I can help you hide the pregnancy from Leo. But Julian, I advise you to start thinking about a way out for yourself. Don't get too deeply entangled with Leo. Think about whether you want to keep the child or not, and let me know. If you want to leave, I can help you. Chapter 13. I was in a daze all the way until Leo picked me up to go home. I kept replaying Dr. Cole's words in my mind. Leo turned my face towards him, demanding to know what was wrong. I was only gone for a moment at the dinner. What happened? Nothing. If you don't tell me, I can find out myself. My attention was drawn to a family of 3 across the street. A little toddler held their father's hand with their left and their mother's with their right, skipping along with a joyful smile. I watched them. If only my child could have such a happy family. Leo's warm breath tickled my ear. You like kids? I quickly looked away, shaking my head. I was afraid he'd see through me. He nipped my earlobe. Too bad you're a beta. But if we try enough, maybe even a beta could get pregnant. My face burned. I knew it was just dirty talk, but I couldn't help but ask softly, Leo, if an Omega was pregnant with your child, would you want it? His denial was swift and decisive. No, I hate Omegas, and I would never have a child with an Omega. So don't worry, I didn't hear the rest of what he said. My hands and feet turned cold. It was over. He had 2 triggers, and I had hit them both perfectly. Leo seemed displeased with my distraction, pinching my cheek. Julian, what is wrong with you? You look so pale. Are you still not feeling well? I stiffened. It's nothing. But in my heart, I made a decision. It seemed that if I wanted to keep this child, my only choice was to run. Chapter 14. I didn't have a chance to discuss it with Dr. Cole before I met Leo's first love. The top-tier Omega seal is white. He had returned from abroad and invited many friends to a welcome party, including Leo. That night he held me and asked, Julian, do you want me to go? I was tactful and nodded vigorously, even though I didn't want him to go, but I was just his kept thing after all. Still, Leo wasn't satisfied. He stared at me, his voice tight. Fine, then I'll go, but I never expected him to take me with him. When I entered, the expressions on everyone's faces at the table were sour. After the last dinner, they had all gotten into trouble with Leo over a mere beta. They were still holding a grudge. Leo, we're welcoming Silas back. Why did you bring him here? This is a private circle. Why bring an outsider? Their words were full of disdain for me. Leo shot them a cold glance. Julian is not an outsider. They fell silent. I secretly glanced at Silas. He truly was a top-tier Omega. Beautiful without losing his masculine edge. His face alone was enough to mesmerize me. Silas smiled at us. It's fine. If Leo wants to bring him, he can. So handsome, a sharp pain shot through my wrist. Leo was gripping it tightly, his voice a low warning. What are you looking at? Stop looking. I immediately retracted my gaze. My heart felt sour, of course. Just one look at his precious treasure and Leo was already upset. Chapter 15. At dinner, I used to always serve Leo his favorite dishes. But today, I just kept my head down and ate. They talked about the past, about how wonderful Leo and Silas's relationship had been. I listened, nearly burying my head in my bowl. I really shouldn't have come to this dinner, until Leo grabbed my wrist, his voice laced with anger. Is it that delicious? I looked up, still chewing blankly, only to meet his dark expression. Of course, was I being too much of a nuisance here? Just as I was about to say something, Silas served Leo some food. His voice was gentle and soothing. Leo, don't be angry, eat something, your favorite shrimp. I shrank back a little more. I wished I could dig a hole and bury myself in it. Then I wouldn't be interrupting their reconciliation. But Leo didn't eat. He just stared at me coldly. I couldn't ignore his gaze. I had to force a pained smile. You don't have to mind me, but before I could finish, Leo's face grew even colder. He slammed his bowl down. The shrimp fell to the floor, covered in dust. What a waste, discarded just like that. But that was always Leo's way, including me. He probably didn't want me anymore either. Chapter 16. The dinner was very unpleasant. As soon as we got home, Leo pinned me against the door and kissed me. But as he kissed me, my stomach started to churn again. Leo, let go. I think I'm going to be sick. I shoved him away and ran to the bathroom to dry heave. Perhaps it was the pregnancy that was making me so nauseous. Leo's face darkened even more. He stared at me, his voice tight with anger. Julian, does kissing me make you sick? I didn't, but the feeling of nausea wouldn't subside. He was furious. He held me down and forced mouthwash into my mouth. After I rinsed, he pressed down on me again, his tone fierce. Even if it makes you sick, you're going to taste me. He lifted me up and threw me onto the bed. Leo gnawed at the back of my neck. Not just your mouth down there has to taste me too. Even though it wasn't his rut, he was particularly vicious this time. Who's biting you now? Speak. Leo. Who is Leo to you? My patron. Wrong. In the end, he made me cry, and I begged for mercy, completely broken. As my vision blurred, I heard a faint whisper. Julian, I really want to mark you completely. Only then will I feel at ease. I was dazed. An inferior Omega can't be marked. But he didn't know that he had already opened my womb, again and again, thoroughly and completely, and now he had left his child there. Chapter 17. I thought that with Silas's return, Leo would finally end our arrangement. I waited every day for him to bring it up, but his attitude towards me didn't change at all. In fact, he watched me even more closely. Now, whenever I went out to see my mother and sister, 2 bodyguards would follow me. Dr. Cole wanted to help me leave, but he was powerless. The months passed and my belly grew larger. The bump was becoming more pronounced. At night, Leo would touch my stomach. Finally put some meat on you. Looks like the food has been good lately. I'll give the housekeeper a raise. My body tensed. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I took the initiative and asked Leo to break up. His face darkened and he asked with anger in his voice, "Reason." I swallowed hard. "Silas is back. I think it's better if I leave," he sneered. "What does his return have to do with you leaving?" My heart sank. Could it be? Did Leo want to be with Silas while still keeping me on the side? I had heard that rich men had strong possessive desires. Even if they no longer liked their kept things, they wouldn't let them go. Leo was probably planning the same thing. If I fell for someone else, would he finally let me go? I gritted my teeth and lied again. "I've fallen in love with someone else." Leo's face instantly turned black. "Who?" I stammered. That night he flew into a rage, pinning me to the bed with his hand around my neck. He forced me to tell him the name of the person I loved. I couldn't say it. His actions became rougher. "Julian, you're mine. I'll never let you go. We've been together so many times. Does the person you love know that? Does he know what you're like under me?" Leo's teeth sank into my neck. He left bite marks over and over again. No matter how much I begged, he wouldn't let me go. Finally, I ran out of strength and just cried silently. Leo turned me over to face him. Seeing my tear-streaked face, he cursed under his breath in frustration. Chapter 18. The days that followed were not easy. Leo wouldn't touch me and was always cold, but he wouldn't let me leave. The baby was getting bigger, and it was becoming impossible to hide. Then good news arrived. Leo was going on another business trip. This time for a week, and he didn't ask me to come along. Before he left, he grabbed my chin, his warning fierce. "You stay home and reflect. Don't even think about leaving again." I agreed meekly, then turned around and sent a message to Dr. Cole. The night before I was set to leave, I received an anonymous picture. The background was a coffee shop. Leo and Silas were sitting face to face. I don't know what they were talking about, but Silas was smiling happily. On Leo's wrist was the watch. The reflection off its surface stung my eyes. I stared at that photo for a long, long time, my resolve to leave growing stronger. The next day I didn't take much. I only took one of Leo's shirts, which still had his scent. Dr. Cole had told me that even if an inferior Omega couldn't smell pheromones, a pregnant one still needed the soothing pheromones of their alpha periodically. He said it might help, and the watch, the birthday gift from Leo. I had worn it for so long. Maybe it was just a habit, but I couldn't bear to take it off. Dr. Cole had me feign illness, and he easily got me out of the villa. He also arranged for my mother to be transferred to another hospital, and with his help, my sister's school transfer was processed quickly. In just 2 days, everything was done. I had been with Leo for nearly 2 years, but cutting ties with him completely only took 2 days. After everything was settled, I felt a sense of emptiness, as if something important had been forcibly ripped out of my life. Dr. Cole leaned close to my ear. "Julian, if you need anything, you can contact me anytime. I can give you my pheromones." I was so moved my eyes turned red. "Why are you being so good to me?" He stroked my head, his voice unusually gentle. "What do you think?" I shook my head. I didn't know. I didn't know what an inferior Omega like me had that was worth his help. He probably just pitied me. Before Dr. Cole left, he gave me a meaningful look. "With an oblivious nature like that, it's no wonder Leo is having such a hard time with you." I looked at him confused, but he just smiled. "It's nothing." Chapter 19. I blocked all of Leo's contact information. I focused on my pregnancy in the small rented apartment. Dr. Cole came to visit from time to time. But this time there was another alpha following him. The moment he entered, he shot me a hostile look, his tone displeased. "Leo's little pet is pregnant. Why is he always bothering my wife?" Dr. Cole glanced at him, a faint blush appearing on his cool face. "Who's your wife? Get lost." After they went outside, I noticed Dr. Cole had left an earring on the cabinet. I picked it up to return it to him. But as soon as I opened the door, I saw the tall alpha pinning Dr. Cole against a car door, kissing him. He opened his eyes and met mine. They were full of possessiveness and warning. He kept kissing him while threatening, "Elias, if you don't want your little pet to find out, then be quiet. Otherwise, next time, believe me, I'll do you right in front of him." Dr. Cole seemed furious and slapped him across the face. The tall alpha didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled and kissed the palm of Dr. Cole's hand. "Does my wife's hand hurt?" I didn't watch the rest. I just closed the door. My face was bright red. If I remember correctly, they were both top-tier alphas. That night, I huddled under the covers. It had been 2 months since I left Leo, and I still wasn't used to it. I always felt like something was missing, and my heart felt empty. But Leo was probably with Silas right now. He wouldn't even be thinking of me. I clutched the shirt I had brought with me from Leo's place. Perhaps pregnancy had made my Omega glands more sensitive. For the first time since leaving Leo, I could smell his pheromones. the scent of absinthe. His pheromones were just like him, aggressive and powerful, but as time went on, the scent on the shirt faded. The more I tried to hold on to it, the faster it slipped away. Now I could barely smell Leo's scent at all. I cried myself to sleep. In the middle of the night, I suddenly smelled Leo's pheromones. I opened my eyes and met his dark, gloomy gaze. Baby, you were only gone for a little while. How did your belly get so big? Chapter 20. I stared at the familiar face, stunned. Was this a dream? I was dreaming of him again. I reached out, wanting to touch him, but my wrist was caught by Leo. His eyes were fixed on my swollen belly, his voice coaxing. Whose bastard are you carrying in your belly, baby? Tell me. The feeling of his grip on my wrist made me realize it wasn't a dream. Leo's pheromones were unstable right now. He must be in his rut again. I instinctively protected my stomach, shrinking back in fear. Leo's eyes turned red and he gritted his teeth. What are you hiding from? The person you love isn't even here with you while you're pregnant, and he's letting you live in this dump. Are you still trying to cover for a scumbag like that? I opened my mouth to explain, but I didn't know where to start. Should I explain that I pretended to be a beta to deceive him for money, or that he was the scumbag? Leo hated liars and he hated Omegas. Besides, his first love was back. If Leo found out, would he even let me keep the child? So I shrank back further. It has nothing to do with you. Then I hung my head meekly, waiting for his rage, but Leo just suppressed his anger, gritting his teeth as he coaxed me. It does. Be good, tell me. Whose bastard are you carrying? We'll get rid of the father and keep the child. I froze. Did he mean he would let me keep the baby? Under Leo's oppressive gaze, I mumbled, yours. His tone turned fierce. Fine, you just wait. I'll go get rid of him right now. The next second, as if he'd just processed it, his expression filled with disbelief. Wait, whose did you say? I repeated cautiously. Your bastard. Leo was completely stunned. He cursed aloud. Fuck. Chapter 21. Leo was stunned for a long time before he seemed to accept the fact. You're pregnant and you didn't tell me. Why did you run? I was still uneasy, afraid he would hold me accountable. Aren't you mad that I lied to you? I'm not a beta, I'm an inferior Omega. And your first love is back, Silas. Seeing his face darken, I stopped, trying to soothe him in a small voice. Anyway, don't be angry. Leo looked like he was about to laugh from anger, biting down on his back teeth. Why would I be angry? I'm too happy to be angry. Seeing my still confused expression, he kissed me. It's late, let's sleep first, baby. We'll talk properly tomorrow. All you need to know is, Julian, I love you. I was completely stunned. Was I still dreaming? Did he mean what I thought he meant? Leo gently hugged my stunned form from behind. Soothing pheromones, as if they were free, filled the entire room. Drowsiness washed over me, my thoughts interrupted. Just as I was about to fall asleep, I felt a wet sensation on the back of my neck, and Leo's aggrieved voice. I thought baby didn't want me anymore. He didn't leave all morning. He even ran into Dr. Cole, who had come for my regular checkup. Dr. Cole whistled. Well, found him pretty fast. Leo's tone was cold. Shut up, I haven't settled the score with you yet. The tall alpha with Dr. Cole shielded him, his tone displeased. Don't you have your own wife? Why are you being so harsh with mine? Leo turned his head and stared at me expectantly. I avoided his gaze. To be honest, it still didn't feel real. Leo's gaze on me grew even more resentful. After the checkup, Leo packed me up and took me home. I was still restless on the way back. I was afraid I would run into Silas when we got there. How awkward would that be? But when we arrived home, there was no one else there, just us. I couldn't help but tug on his sleeve and ask, is Silas not here? Leo's face was stern. He can be wherever he wants, as long as it's not my house. The only person who can be in my house is you. Then, as if he had realized something, he turned my face towards him, his expression serious. Don't tell me the person you love is him. No wonder you kept staring at him when you first met, and then later, after a long complaint, as if he was still afraid I wasn't convinced, he said earnestly, Baby, an Omega-Omega relationship has no future. I was completely confused. Weren't you the one who loved Silas for years? Chapter 22. Leo looked completely defeated. Julian, I really want to crack open your little head and see what's inside. What do I have to say to make you believe that the one I've always loved is you? After he said it, his face turned an embarrassed shade of red. From the first moment I saw you, forget it. Let's just do it. He knelt on one knee, his fingers touching the waistband of my pants. Leo licked his lips. Feel good, baby. I tugged at his hair, letting out a whimper of pure pleasure. He looked at my face, his eyes filled with deep love. Then he focused on pleasing me. Now I think I believed him. The room was filled with the scent of Leo's pheromones. For the first time I smelled my own, green lemon. They mixed together, indistinguishable from each other. Chapter 23. The birth of our little cub went smoothly. Dr. Cole, along with a team of renowned doctors, personally oversaw the delivery. When the door opened, Leo didn't even glance at the baby. He rushed to my side, his eyes red as he held my hand. "Baby, did it hurt?" I shook my head weakly. Later, my mother's health improved significantly, and my sister got into a good high school. Everything was heading in a good direction. Except for one night, after Leo put our sweet cub to sleep and returned to the bedroom, I finally couldn't help but pull out the photo, the one of him and Sila's. I had secretly saved it back then, thinking it would be something to remember him by after I left. Leo panicked. "Baby, it's a setup, it's definitely a setup." His voice was full of grievance. "I just had a business partnership with his family. We only had one meal, and Sila's was already engaged at that time." "Baby, I'm really innocent." It was later discovered that Dr. Cole had sent that photo. When Leo found out, he was furious. He called his friend to complain. I heard Dr. Cole was so thoroughly dealt with that he couldn't get out of bed for a week. Chapter 24. After our son grew a little older, Leo suddenly asked if I wanted to go back and take my college entrance exams. My heart stirred, but I was a little insecure. Can I do it? When my mother got sick, I was only a junior in high school. I had to drop out to earn money. My teacher could only sigh with regret when he found out. "Such a shame, with grades as good as his." Leo kissed me, pulling me out of my memories. "Of course my baby can do it. Don't worry, you don't have to handle the cub, I'll take care of him." After we got married, he was indeed a very good father. He took care of our son himself, but the truth was, he was afraid our son would steal my love and attention, so he took the initiative. When I found out about his little scheme, I laughed at how childish he was. Leo buried his head in my chest. "I just want my wife to look at me more." With Leo's encouragement, I went back to school. As an older student, a lot of the material was unfamiliar, but picking it back up wasn't as hard as I thought, especially since Leo had hired top tutors for one-on-one lessons. During the day, he would take our son to his company, and at night, he would come home and cook for me. As the exams approached, I once again rejected his advances. The expression on Leo's face screamed 3 words. "I regret this." During his rut, he was so aggrieved he was on the verge of tears. I could only comfort him. In the end, I was reciting my study notes while he was on top of me. The words came out broken and out of tune. Leo was still encouraging me. "Baby, you're doing great." "What's the next line?" I couldn't take it anymore and slapped him. That only made him more excited. On the day the exams ended, Leo was waiting for me at the school gate with my mother and sister. He was holding a bouquet of flowers. Seeing them from a distance, I felt a sense of disorientation. For a moment, I was transported back to the end of my middle school exams. That day, my dad had taken the day off work to pick me up with my mom and sister. He saw that everyone else was holding flowers, so he wanted to buy some too. There happened to be a flower shop right across from the school. The accident happened then. A large truck lost control. The flowers were violently thrown into the air, then fell heavily. Leo patted my back, pulling me out of the memory. Beside me, both my mother's and sister's eyes were moist. Leo stroked my head and placed the bouquet in my arms. "Congratulations on your success, our baby." In a daze, I seemed to hear a faint, ethereal sigh from the air. "It crossed death and time, Julian. May you achieve the highest honors."